Hello, welcome back to Sonic Labs Special. You may have already seen the first part of this video, which was Tim from Nektar Technologies and myself looking at the new Panorama T4. We were focusing more on the kind of performance aspects of that, and I hope we answered the questions that were asked in my first video, which was just a sort of general overview of this MIDI controller. In this one, we're going to look more closely at the sort of Nectarine and the tighter integration parts of it, right?
Exactly, yes. So that first video, we didn't feature Nectarine or the integration at all, but Nectarine, of course, really does boost workflow to a different level to what we've never been able to do with our previous methods of integration, which of course continue because Nectarine is an extension of that, but it just gives that ability to load instruments on the fly, which we couldn't do before. It gives you the ability to host VST-free instruments indoors that aren't actually compatible. Yep, AU or VST only. Reason is VST2 currently, for example. It gives you the ability to really go in and customize not just how the plugin presents itself on the controller using Nektar's plugin map technology. There's nothing as powerful as our technology.
So I mean, essentially, it's a plugin host, and yes, there's a good reason why lots of people have gone down this route, because it gives the developer control independent of whatever the DAW is. Maybe we could have a quick look at the plugin while we're there. Just
yeah,
so
let's do that. See what it looks like. I'm going to go into instrument mode and shift instrument to create a new track in Logic and bring up Nectarine. There it is. First thing you see is a
nothing.
Empty shell. Yeah. So we can go to Browse, and I'm going to select a tag. I'm going to select my user tags and I can add some drums.
That's now loaded a patch that you've saved from within Nectarine.
That has, yes. But I've just tagged it as drums, and you can see there weren't many patches inside my user tag. I've done that intentionally because that's how I've chosen to work. I just want to get to my drums, get some ideas down. If I go and create another track, I can then add some using my user tag again, I can add some bass. Here we go. Got two different patches. So let's have a listen. Got to select the patch first. Let's go to something
so
a
that's
bit more.
what plugin is that? That's
So I've loaded KSH1 there. So as I'm loading patches, it's loading instruments as well. Right. You see. So you're right, I didn't even care what instrument was there because I knew what I wanted to play. I had my patch that I was ready to play. And of course, you can then go to instrument and you can tweak away at the different parameters for them.
And are those pre-mapped, or how does that work?
Pre-mapped, entirely pre-mapped. This is where Nektar's plugin map technology comes in. If I press the setup menu, you can see all of the different pages available. But they're not just available in this menu. They're also available on these dedicated quick access buttons, so I can go to my envelopes, I can go to my oscillator seconds, I can go to my filter very, very quickly. Really, really nice direct access, very easy to find your way around the plugin.
And so do the faders come into play as well as just the controller?
Yes, that's right, not just 8 controls and not just arbitrary pages, the pages and names. If I press the envelope pages, of course you've got your envelope on your faders. Now, as you probably so as you probably saw there, soft takeover took effect. So we didn't get any parameter change because it was out of position with the software value, which is shown here in the display, as you can see, until we caught up with the software value. So you never get any jumping parameters, and Nectarine makes sure that that's standard in every DAW that you can use.
So if you wanted to change this around, you can edit the mappings within the Nectarine plugin itself, right?
Exactly, yes. So there's an edit mode for that, but a really quick and easy way to do it as well from the device is Shift and Setup menu, which turns on Learn mode. And you can see here I can just move a control now. Let's just move any arbitrary control and put it onto I have to put it on the fader so you can see what's going on. So you can see it's gone onto Shaper. We'll have a look later on at this is an example of a plugin that we've already mapped. We'll have a look at one that isn't mapped as well. So here we are. We haven't got this mapped, I believe. So I'm going to go to edit mode. Now this is something that users of the P series didn't have the option to, not to deep level anyway. They had the basic mapping of page ABC and fader home, and Nectarine now gives you the ability to kind of take that to another level. So as we saw, we can use learn mode, but another way of doing it is to just drag parameters in.
So it knows what the parameters are.
Yeah.
So it's self-aware of what the plugin has, and then you just drag them to the.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
you can rename the parameters. You can see here we've got three different resonance ones, so I can go in and I'm going to call that res. Just customize it a little bit so that, and that's going to affect the display. You'll also notice that any changes I make are also updated immediately there.
And that can be across multiple pages, as we said. So
it can be multiple pages. You've got your faders as well, but not only it's not just multiple pages. You can customize how you want these buttons to navigate those pages as well. So, for example, let's say I want to do a filter page. I'm going to change page A to be filter for a start. And I'm going to add a sub page as well. So I've got my filter page, and then my new page. I'm going to put the filter envelope there just for sake of argument, and call it env. And what I'm going to do is I want on my filter page, I want these buttons to be accessing the two different sub pages. So I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to say I want it to be a page button, and I want it to select. That was right. I want the filter one on there. And I want the envelope on here. So now I've got a filter group that I can access with my direct access filter button, and I've got two different
different pages on there.
Different pages on there.
And once you've set these mappings up, I mean, then you would drag the parameters across to the interface how you wanted them.
Yeah,
to
of
be.
course you can. Yeah, and you can just.
But once you've set them up, that's common to every time you load this plugin, right?
Yes, exactly.
In
right.
any DAW.
In any DAW.
Right.
Exactly. So I did say you can access the pages via the filter button as well. Let's look at how you do that. So to do that, you actually have to be out of edit mode, because then that makes the learn menu available in here.
Right.
And so you go to direct page access, and we say we've got the filter page already there. So I just press this button, and now this is going to access my filter page. Turn learn mode off. I've got my envelopes, and I've got my filter page.
Okay.
So you can. They don't have to be filtered. I mean, if you're not working
They're
with
just pre-labeled
synthesis plugin, it's just pre-labeled for you. You can. The direct access works.
I didn't. I didn't get as deep into this when I was looking at it the first time, but I could see. So this is the sort of setup point at which you would do it, and then after that, it's just off you go. Don't look at the screen. Play away.
Exactly.
So I mean, the one thing that I found when I was playing with it is once I had things set up and I could select patches. I mean, I really wasn't using the keyboard and the mouse at all. I was doing a lot of it from here.
So let's have a closer look at Nektarine itself. The first thing you need to do is go to settings, plugin options, and then you can select your different AU, VST or VST3 plugins.
Right, okay.
Plugins are seen in this list here.
Yeah.
If I go down to the drop down menu, you can see the different plugins I've got on my system right now. And then in the browser, this is where your patch management happens, and that's how I was able to go quickly in Logic and add these different instruments on the fly. I should
also mention that this is for virtual instruments at the moment. It doesn't do like EQs and compressors and that side of thing.
Yeah, at the moment just virtual instruments.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. So so we talk about customization. When you go to a patch, you can edit your tags. You can delete and add different tags. You can create your own tags. So
the standard meta information stuff.
Yep. Yeah. You can only have one tag selected per column, but what you can do is you can see here. Let me just turn off the edit mode. Is group your tags together. So I've got hard lead and I've got a hard lead and I've just got one patch. So you can really home in very quickly on the patches you want, because it's no good when you've got like hundreds of patches.
So how do you get the patches in? Because obviously it's not reading the patches from the plugin itself, it's only reading the patches that you've created in Nektarine,
yes,
right?
Of course. So let's do exactly that. Let's turn this off first. And we'll import a patch that I want to use. Let's go for the kilohertz one. Let's say I want to work with something that's dangerous. Once you've selected it, you go back to your browser and you just select import.
Okay, so it's brought in with the name.
So it's reading the name. Exactly. Right. Now you can rename it as well, and then you can add your tags as well. So that was a lead, and then you save it, and then that is essentially an imported patch.
Right. Okay.
Now, what you can do if you want to just get the patches out of a synth that you commonly work with, for example, you just engage auto import like this. You can see it immediately jumps it in like we did there, and you go back and you can say, right, I'm going to add, I can't read this, there we go, I'm going to add this one, and I'm going to add this one, and you can just go through like so, and it will be adding them into your browser here.
That makes a lot of sense, but you've got to remember then to switch off.
You've got to remember to switch it off, because it does that for every single change you make, yes.
And that's including if you were changing patches from this as well,
exactly,
which
yeah,
I discovered when that was a bit of a head scratch moment.
Sure,
but it makes sense why you've done it that way, so you can flick through and bring your favourite patches from the plugin, and then it's a quick way to populate the Nectarine presets.
That's right.
Okay.
So the other way you can do it is you can import, using this button, from our existing patch library.
Right.
So the Nectarine patch library, we have several plugins, popular plugins already mapped for you. You just select the plugin, and then it will tell you how many patches you're importing on.
So you can import all that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like
so that knows where the patches are and just kind of goes, I'll have all of them.
Right? So for some plugins you don't need to go through.
So there is some setup involved, and this is probably the sort of slightly dull and nerdy bit, which isn't the fun part of playing without touching the computer, but that's important if you want to access your things, right?
Well, it's important if you want. It's the setup involved, but it makes the environment your own environment that you can take to any DAW. You know, these mappings and these patches, once they're done once, they're available everywhere.
So yeah, that's the thing. So if we were to open live and then open Nectarine,
all of
the patches we just imported and created and the mappings are exactly the same.
Everything will be exactly the same, yes.
That's why it makes sense to have your own plugin host, right?
Thank you, yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.
So everything you've just seen there is all possible in Ableton as well. We've got MCU now support on this controller for DAWs that we can't access.
That's stuff like transport control, channel selection, record solo.
Yeah, it's transport,
fader,
mixer control as well. So when you've got Nectarine and mixer control and transport control, and in most cases navigation, it's not always possible with MCU, but where it is, we've done that.
The other thing that I found really useful when I was doing my initial overview is in the mixer mode, with just basic MCU, you don't get access to things like effect sends, whereas with with the integration you can, so you can very easily automate and set up effect sends, and that's actually quite a bonus, I found.
Yes, effect sends, pans as well. Automation, really key character, and then smart controls, because in the case of Logic, smart controls are really important. So you know, this is where the customized element of what we do comes in. You know, the smart controls aren't in everything. There's quick controls in Logic, so we put them there. You see. It's not as advanced as the P series, of course, when it comes to an integration perspective. The P series is still another level above that. You can access inserts. There's a deeper level of mixer control, but this is
the price point
kind of the hands-on, really important controls right there. Yeah, that's where the price point comes
So
in.
Working with, can it also access native plugins from within?
Yes, that's the other key feature. If I go up in a track here to Alchemy, I can open up the GUI. You can see that I've now controlling Alchemy features.
And that's the sort of, again, that's down to your hand coded, I suppose, your hand matched stuff that works that way. So
precisely, yeah. So
you get that Nectar goodness as well as the Nectarine. Right.
Now with the T series, we've just gone for 2 pages, 2-page encoders and your faders as well.
Well, that still gives you.
That's plenty of parameters for customizing stuff, and we work through the systems that the DAW presents. You know, they're presenting them. They're very useful. They're very powerful in many ways. So you've got that alongside Nectarine. If I go to a Nectarine track, you'll notice that there's
you can add
it's completely seamless. You don't have to switch modes to Nectarine mode. You don't have to switch modes to instrument mode. Right. And it's detecting the instances immediately. I can start going in and tweaking different parameters of my. Go to the compressor. Go in and start immediately tweaking parameters from the encoders. There's no divide between the keys and the control surface, and that's the difficult part that a lot of plugin hosts in the past have got wrong. Is that at some point, a most important point of what you're controlling is the DAW. You know, the sequencing aspects. That's where the keys are going, and then if there's a disconnect between the keys and the controls, then you know it's a workflow hindrance. It's not a boost at all. So you only got to go and find the instance. Whereas this is happening automatically.
It's auto-detecting the type of plugin it's got, whether it's a native plugin or the Nectarine plugin.
Yeah, and the instance of Nectarine. That's the key point.
Ah, okay.
Not just whether it's Nectarine, it's the instance as well. So obviously this is down to the DAW integration, the Nektar DAW integration.
Right,
that's
okay.
the other advantage you get. Now with MCU support, of course, that's not entirely possible for us right now. But what you can do is when you select the track, you just have to hold down Shift and play a note without the sequencer running, and the instance will immediately be detected that way.
Ah, okay.
So you don't have to go in and scroll and work out which track, you know, which instrument and which plugin you're working on.
So another question that we came up against, which I think you've answered, was will Nektarine integration happen in the P series as well? And the answer to that was yes, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It will. Like I said, I don't want to commit to a timeline just yet, but we're working on it now. It is something that will happen.
I've got a couple more questions here. Matthew PA wants to know, will the level of DAW integration, because obviously they're all changing quite a lot, will that be working on both the T and the P series going forward?
Yes, we continue to evolve our DAW integration. That's still very, very important to workflow. You know, you don't get workflow from Nectarine without the DAW integration, you know, the way that we would like you to have it. So Nectarine will continue to evolve, and so will our DAW integration. Nectarine's an extension, not a replacement for what we do. Right.
Another question here is there a Nectarine page limit? Because it seems to be there's A to D plus the homepage.
Good question. So on the instrument page, you can see you've got up to 24 through the menu, but of course then you've got sub pages as well.
So quite a lot. Should be enough.
I couldn't give you an exact figure, but yeah, 24 through the menu, and then you've got sub pages.
That was one question that came up. Is there FL Studio integration?
There is. Yeah, this works off the same Panorama integration that's already built into FL Studio. It's already there when you go into the controller type inside FL Studio. So yes, is the answer to that.
And one other thing, if you're doing automation of any of these functions, is it bi-directional? Do you see the automation, the parameters changing when you're playing back the automation via the track? So if you're in...
Yes, you do. You do if you do if you're obviously in DAW control mode or Nectarine. Yes, right. You'll see all that changing. Yes.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, Tim, thank you very much. I mean, it looks like we've pretty much covered the Nectarine stuff. Perhaps what we could do is, you can just show us how fluid and easy it is by continuing your little musical sketch here, and we can sail off into the sunset.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Tim. Okay, well, that's it for this time. Don't forget to watch the first part of this video series where, with Tim, we went through the kind of performance aspects of the Panorama T4. And if you want to go right back, you can see my initial discovery and sort of exploration of the environment. That's it for this time. Thanks very much for watching.